we really want to kind of help founders, help businesses grow and scale sustainably. That's our, I would say, purpose and goal and mission, to kind of help them out so we have the sustainable impact and sustainable change in the world happening around. So when we started off like 6, 7, 8 years ago, we did pretty much one-to-one basis consultations with founders and teams. And it was in line with, okay, what is your problem? Tell me what's your problem so we can figure out jointly how can we solve it. And it still remains our overall kind of approach, but we just kind of structure it in a way. So by working with those founders and solo founders over the years individually, we really kind of figure out what are the major pain points and what are kind of the most important things they need to work on to kind of grow and scale to the next stage, whatever that might, the next stage might be for them. So what happened in that process was we obviously started doing programs as a way of kind of optimizing our time and then also delivering value to a higher number of people in the program. So we did, different incubation, pre-acceleration, acceleration programs over the years, whatnot. And then we came to the point when currently the programs that we are running for startups and businesses, they are pretty much leaning on all the feedback, all 150 plus teams that we worked for with over the past years, and with the things that we've seen both in the market here, but also in the markets of scale. So markets like US, UK, certain European markets, and what are general trends and what are what are investors looking for? What are the customers looking for to kind of match it up? So that's why we came to the program as it is, and we always update it. We don't have the two same versions of the program ever. We update it based on who's coming and who are we kind of speaking and I would say kind of exchanging to. So it's basically focusing, I would say, on two pillars. So one side, if you are a startup, so helping you figure out your investment strategy and your exit strategy. It's quite often that people start doing things and they know if it's a business or a startup, and it's completely fine because you're also figuring out the things in the beginning. So basically, and then again, you can find very different definitions of what's a startup.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say that the most unfortunate one was that a startup is a company that just started up. So there's in the beginning, which again, it's fine to a certain level, but it's not really communicating the whole startup, I would say, growth story and the potential. When we think about startups, we think about the successful cases like, I don't know, Facebook or Instagram or something, some companies that were started and they became super big, serving a huge chunk of the market and, have a crazy growth. So that being said, a true, a startup in that sense, it's pretty much connected to a growth model. So you want to have exponential growth model. You want to go to markets of scale, which means that probably Serbia and the region, it's not your market. It's maybe your test market to just kind of figure out the things because you're geographically here and it's cheaper. But then, moving on to the later stages, it's pretty much, you need to go to another market and have that mindset. When you are a startup of that kind of exponential growth and stuff, you really pretty much dependent on investments and investment rounds you're going to see, down the line. And to really figure out your investment kind of rounds, it's really important to have a consideration. What is your exit strategy? So why is this important? Because at the end of the day, as a startup, you are moving towards, you are selling your business to someone. That's the purpose of startup. You want to be acquired. You want to be bought by somebody big like Facebook or Google or Amazon or whoever is buying, startup companies these days. That's the goal of the startup. That's the mission of the startup while serving certain needs in that sense. By saying that, you're also kind of saying, okay, if I'm developing my business to sell it, to somebody, what are the things that need to happen to kind of go there? And then, of course, it includes, figuring out your customers, growth hacking practices, figuring out your processes, having a really strong business model and all the things that you need to do there. But that's a really strong kind of pillar that we are kind of aiming towards. It's not like, oh, let's boost your sales or whatnot, because it's kind of surfacing up. The core problem is which problem you are solving, it's for who, and what are you going towards to in the sense of, exiting a business. Another piece of the program, it's, we call it storytelling. but it's really kind of figuring out your key value proposition and key narrative of, really expressly communicating which problem are you solving to your customers, to your potential investors, to your partners. Because quite often we find a situation where we meet up the founders and it's like, cool, what are you doing? And they need next 45 minutes to explain to us what exactly are they doing for us to really understand it, which is okay. But you don't have that time with your customers, with your investors and your partners. You need to kind of be really sharp on that. So we're kind of helping startups polish up and figure out the way they are communicating in a very, sharp manner, so they are relevant whoever is on the other side. Is it an audience? Is it a bunch of customers? Is it partner? Is it an investor? Whoever it is on that side. So that's something that we are doing through the startup program. So it's very participative. It's very kind of involving people to kind of work on that. We are not, and I always underline it, we are not educational programs. So it's not like, oh, you come, you have 6 or 7, 8, 10 modules of certain topics. There's an ex cathedra, presenter who is speaking about the topic, and then see you next week. No, it's pretty much the basis of you need to do the heavy lifting. We are, and I like the metaphor we're using there. We're a really good person next to a driver. If you are driving a bus, we bring out maps, we give you GPS, we go out and ask a person for directions, but you are, figuring out the directions, you are hitting the pedal, so you are kind of in charge of those things. And that's why also in the program, while working with founders, it's very much dependent on their work and feedback, and also implementing the feedback they got from the exchange, kind of peer sessions and stuff like that. And then making it parallel, because we always do a parallel business program. So for business entities who don't have that exponential scaling, due to any fact, it's completely fine. You don't need to be a startup to be successful or, to make change. It's just a matter of different perspective. So businesses usually, they don't have scalable digital solutions. They either do products or do services that are not scalable in the I would say startup way, when you can serve a bunch of customers with a really small team. And also your costs are not growing up with your revenue. So that's a startup. And I always like to give an example. The moment when Instagram was acquired by Facebook for however many millions and millions of dollars, they had 70 employees and over 30 million users on the platform. That's the good kind of exchange rate, if you like. So while businesses, you have a physical product, you have a service which is not scalable in that sense. And mostly what we are doing with businesses on that level is help them figure out their sales. So help them really, again, we do a strong storytelling piece and figuring out their key value proposition and kind of optimizing their sales, communication, marketing, so they can really do it based on their customers. So like customer discovery and development towards, I would say growth hacking strategy, which can be, in marketing, in sales, in partnering up and stuff like that. And also additional strong piece there, it's also optimizing their operations. We quite often see companies of 5, 10, 15, even 30 employees who, are selling something, they're doing these different things, but, it's not really synced up, or they're not sure what they're doing, or their portfolio, it's not straightforward. So we kind of help them out to figure out, different, I would say, elements there. How can, what should they focus on, what's bringing them, revenue, what's really, their purpose and mission. So it can kind of balance out in that sense. So to maybe wrap up it for the question, it's really about, we really kind of adapt it to the whole customer feedback. Our customers are companies, are businesses and startups. So we try to always kind of listen to their needs. So all the things that I mentioned, they were not like, oh, we were super smart, let's do them. It's something that we saw from the need and we say, okay, let's figure out how can we help and, be the most relevant for the founders.